So we start by our first presentation, which is the 3-period lesson. The 3-period lesson is a lesson that is just unique for the Montessori method, and it helps the child learn vocabulary and concepts, and it can be just summarized in simple terms into 3 periods: naming the object or the thing or the picture, recognizing it, and then remembering it. How we're going to present this lesson, it's going to be discussed in the following presentation.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the pre-reading and writing level. In this level, we're going to start introducing Arabic vocabulary to the children, so they'll be able to build a bank of vocabulary, because learning a language is nothing but the exposure of that language to the child, so we can teach that language to the child using different mediums. So like we said, using audiobooks, using written books, and also getting the child to be able to connect between an object and its name in the Arabic language is very important. And in the Montessori method, there is a very important tool that's been used to get the child to learn vocabulary, whether in the Arabic language or any other language, and it's used often in Montessori nurseries, and it's called the 3-period lesson. And the 3-period lesson is mainly teaching the child the name of something. So in this presentation, all you need is to get a basket with 5 or 6 objects. These objects can be the same theme like I've done here. It's only on fruits and vegetables. You can have different objects from different themes, and you want to use things that the child will be able to see in the environment regularly or often, so the child would be able to recall the name of that object easily. So you get a basket and you put it on the shelf, and you fill it with objects that you want to teach the child, teach the names of these objects to the child. And then you ask the child to join you, and you show the child where is the basket on the shelf, and then you ask the child to bring the basket to the table or to a mat on the floor. And you start the presentation by taking 2 to 3 objects at a time. So we take this one, and this one for now. And we start by telling the child that we want to teach the names of these objects in Arabic to the child. So first we make sure that the child maybe already knows some of these objects' names. So we ask, do you know any of these, the names of these things in Arabic? If the child knows, then at least we'll be able to exclude that object from the lesson, and we don't have to present it in a 3-period lesson. Once that we know that the child doesn't know any of the names of the objects, then we can start by excluding one of these two objects and put it further away. And we point at the first object, and we start from the right to the left. Like what we said, the orientation of the Arabic language is always from the right to the left and from top to bottom. So we start by pointing at the first object, and we say its name in Arabic very clearly and very accurately. Khubz. Khubz. And we ask the child to point and to say the name again. And if the child knows the word هذا, which means this is, when maybe we can use it as well. هذا خبز. Khubz. And then we make the child repeat it a few times. If the child wants to hold the objects, speak about it, even say to us what does the child think that is in the first language. So if the child's first language is English, they can say, yeah, this is bread. So khubz, and we keep repeating it. And then once we finish with that object, by pointing at it, we put it to the right again, and then we take the second object and we do the same. Dhura. Dhura, and we point it, and we ask the child to point, and we do that 3 to 4 times to make sure that the child is pronouncing it correctly, and the child can hold it to be able to connect between what is the object and the name Dhura, and we repeat it. Then we put it further away, and then we take the third object laymoon, and we ask the child to repeat laymoon, and we make sure the child is pronouncing it correctly. And then after we do the third object, we take the two other objects again. Now we finish the first part of the 3-period lesson, we move on to the second part. And in the second part, we ask the child to give us, to move one of the objects around or to give it to us. So we don't ask the child what is it straight away. In the 3-period lesson, we start by saying this is, the second period is give me, and the third period will be what is. So we finished the first part, the second part, now we will say, can you please give me laymoon? And the child will pass laymoon. Can you please give me khubz? And we can change it about by saying, can you please put dhura over here? And the child put it. Sometimes we make it fun for the children. We say, can you put khubz on your head? Can you put laymoon on your lap? Or can you give your brother dhura? And they pick it up and they go and move. But sometimes that can be a bit disruptive for little children. So we can make the movement a little bit less. So the focus would be on acquiring the names of these objects. And when we see that the child learn it all, then we move to the third period. If the child, for example, you tell them, can you give me dhura? And they give you laymoon, then you would know at this point that the child needs more practice by you asking more. So don't say, no, this is not, this is laymoon, this is not dhura, or this is, and if the child doesn't say it correctly, don't correct. All you have to do is keep asking again and again. If the child keeps getting them wrong all the time and doesn't correct themselves by themselves, then you put it away. You finish the lesson on nice terms, and then you put it away, and in another setting you get it and you start from the first period again. Don't move on to the third period until you see the child able to bring you the object that you ask for straight away and correctly. And then when we move to the third period of the 3-period lesson, is then we ask, what is this? And then the child say its name. What is this? What is this? And then the child would be able to say the name correctly, because we worked in the second period long enough to make sure that the child would be able to answer in the third period correctly. We don't want to get the child to fail. We always want the child to succeed. So we work on the second period as much as possible, so the child would be able to know the third period the right answer without feeling disheartened and without feeling that they making mistakes and getting the answers wrong. And after you finish with these 3 objects, you can ask in the same setting. You can ask if the child wants to learn names of more objects. If they don't want to, you can ask the child to put the basket back on the shelf, and you can work on the rest of the objects another time. You can revisit these objects and consolidate the child's knowledge by pointing at it on your day-to-day life. If you're cooking and you use or the child is eating, then you say the name of the object in Arabic, or you ask the child, oh, what are you eating now? And the child, if they tell you the name, then you need to put in your observations that the child has acquired these vocabulary. It's very good to keep a log on the vocabulary that the child has already acquired and already knows, to be able to know what you need to build on more, and to be able to introduce it in the day-to-day use, to be able to spot it in the books when you are reading, or if the child is listening to an audiobook, if that one of these words has been said, then you can highlight it to the child, so they'll be able to pick up the language a lot easier.